Hey guys, welcome to day 1, week 8. This is kind of crazy how fast this trimester is going by. Okay, so today we're going to finish up the intestine, so finish up the digestive system. We're going to look at the upper part of the digestive system as well as the respiratory system and the circulatory system. So the first thing I want to show you is, as promised, I cut apart the small intestine. So the small intestine and the large intestine was all in here, and then I cut it apart, and it probably took me a good half hour to cut all the mesentery because it was very intricate. So I'm going to try to show you here how long it is. I mean, this is kind of gross to some of you maybe, but I could probably jump rope with this. That's how long it is. So with what you see here, I want you to hypothesize the actual length of the small intestine. There we go. That's all small intestine right there. Sorry, this last part right here is large intestine, and I uncoiled some of it, but then you can see it was getting really intricate, and I was like, I'm just going to end up cutting it and exposing the poop coming out. So I decided to stop that. So I want you to hypothesize the length of this. Make sure you include your unit. So you're talking about inches, you're talking about centimeters, you're talking about millimeters, whatever that may be. And I will tell you the actual length tomorrow. All right, so small intestine, large intestine, we're done with that. Okay, we are going to move on to, I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. We're going to move on to the thoracic cavity, so the upper cavity here. And you cannot see too much of it. I mean, you can see some of it, but I need to cut up a little bit higher and expose some more for you. So I'm actually going to start up here and cut because we'd like to see some other things besides just the lungs and the heart, which is totally doable. So be very careful once again so we don't hit any organs. I'm going to have to cut the bone there. And I am also going to have to cut, so I had to cut away a lot of the diaphragm because it was right along the wall here. But there's also more mesentery to cut. And there we go. Okay, so now you can start to see the lungs a little bit better. There are upper and lower lobes to the lungs. And then the heart is still in the center. I'm going to go back up here before I lose sight of this. Okay, if you remember, I was telling you how they sell injected pigs that you can dissect, and those are more for where you spend a lot of time working on this, on the pig dissection for those kind of classes. You would see, these are veins and arteries up here, some of them being very important. Okay, I need my scissors to cut through the bone. So I know I've told you guys how my parents raise animals, and this is kind of really unfortunate for you guys because the whole quarantine thing, my dad had to hold off on killing the pigs, and we actually just finished. All the pigs are now killed and butchered and in freezers and stuff. However, I did want to let you know that the frontal part here, this whole wrapping, this would be the bacon area. But I know that's kind of off topic, but I'm always doing that. But anyways, the cool thing is, so whenever he does the killings, I always grab all the guts, and the pigs are gutted right into a garbage bag, and then I bring them into school, and you can see them all, which is really cool because then you get to see preserved things versus fresh live things. And I will tell you, I remember a student who I would have never thought would have liked taking an anatomy and physiology course, and he took it senior year. And he was like, Miss Turk, those fresh things, get out of here. That's so gross. What's wrong with you? And I was like, all right, Paul, that's fine. Whatever, you can have the preserved one. So he was looking at a preserved specimen, and I'll tell you what, he was complaining left and right after he saw what he was dealing with versus what the other students got for the fresh stuff, because the fresh pig had way more to it and you could see so many more things and it was more colorful, whereas the preserved, like everything, all these preserved specimens, no matter what we're dissecting, they all have this like tint to them of like brown, like no bright color. So that's kind of a bummer. Oh my, this is so cool. I wish you guys could like do some more observations of this, not just looking, but also feeling, because that is awesome. I'm going to talk about these things in just a moment. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to have to cut along so I can pin this guy back here. Maybe not. Yeah, pin doesn't want to stay. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's do some other cutting right here. All right, we have lots of things to take a look at now. Okay. Ah. Okay, so I've separated the thoracic cavity even further, so now you can see the lungs way more clear. These are all lungs right here. Not here, this is the heart, but these are all lungs going around. And they extend all the way down to the base of the diaphragm, which remember is that muscle that whenever you're breathing in and out, it contracts and releases. All right, so as we spread the body wall, we're going to take note of the membrane around the heart, which I cut most of it off already. That membrane was called the pericardium. So it is a membrane that, oh, here we go. Here's some of it right here. This lining, okay? It protects the heart. And it also was connected to the diaphragm. So I have a better picture to show you here. And let me give it a close-up so you guys can see a little bit. So here, heart right here. This is lung. These are lungs. Lungs go all the way to the base down here. Kind of cool. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the lungs. The lungs are kind of pinkish. They're on either side of the heart, and they are firmer, a little more spongy, but they're kind of firm. Anyways, the larger right lung, so the pig's right, not my right, the pig's right. So this lung over here is a little bit larger. And it's divided into 4 lobes. The left lung is divided into 3 lobes. So there's 1, 2, oh, and the third one's up here, okay? Whereas this one has 4, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. All right. In humans, the right lung has 3 lobes and the left lung has only 2. So the pig actually's lungs are a little bit different than ours. They have more lobes. Okay, the heart. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, this heart, it's like buried in here. So I'm just going to cut it out. That's the best way. That's the best thing for me to do. So the heart is connected to the lungs. So I have to be careful as I'm cutting here. It's connected to the lungs as we get oxygen from our lungs. And the blood that goes to our body needs to be oxygenated. Like one more light. I need like one of those dental lights, like right above my head. Like you go to the dentist and there, you can see all the way in your mouth. Okay, I think so. I did cut some very important tubes, which is fine. Just gonna make sure we keep the positioning of this. Okay, so here's our heart. Oh, and I also got some lung with it. So the darker, so the pericardium was that layer that was around it, remember, and that's that tissue that surrounds it and kind of is this like protective covering over the heart. So the heart has 2 atriums and 2 ventricles. So the atria, here and here, so this is the right atria, this is the left atria. They are darker brown in color. And the ventricles are down here, so this here is the right ventricle, this here is the left ventricle. If you notice, the surface of this, I'm going to bring it up closer, is covered in blood vessels. And that's a good thing. So these vessels are part of the circulation or heart circulation here, and there's a set of arteries and veins whose only job is to nourish this heart tissue. So that's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm bringing it closer to me. Okay, so there are some really important veins and arteries here. There's the aorta, and now that I've cut it out, I want to say this is the aorta right here. Let me look at my other picture here just to confirm. Of course, that one doesn't have it. Oh, here we go. Doesn't have a close-up of the heart. I will show you some pictures of the heart here so you can see them. Yeah, this is my manual is really only focusing mostly on the digestive system. Okay, so this is the aorta. I was right. Okay, so the aorta, it has this like curve to it, and the aorta is the main artery in the entire body, or the largest artery in the entire body. And it's going to transport blood from the left ventricle, and many arteries that carry blood throughout the body branch off from the aorta. We have a couple others. We have the vena cavas, which are also very important, and you can see that the lung is right there still attached. Okay, so there is our heart. If you end up taking anatomy and physiology, we will dissect quite a few hearts, whether it's sheep heart, pig heart, cow heart, deer heart. We try to look at a bunch of them and then compare and contrast them. They're pretty similar overall because they're all mammals, the only difference being size for the most part. Okay, so I'm going to put the heart off to the side. And I want to go back in here. So now you can see the lungs a little more clearly since the heart is out. Get some of this. I might get a loss for words there. Oh my goodness, get some of this preservative out of here. Okay, now something really cool that I want to show you. So there is this piece right here, and it's like a ringed structure. This ringed structure, you can see the rings on it, is the trachea. Guys, the trachea is the large air tube that lies anterior, so kind of in front of the lungs right here. And the trachea is really easy to identify, like you said, because it has this cartilaginous rings around it. And it's going to end up branching into each lung, which, of course, I cut the lungs out, so you can't see that at the moment. But I don't think you want to be able to see it anyways. We may be able to see the larynx or the voice box, which I think we can. So this is where the vocal cords are contained. So here's the larynx, this up here, right above the trachea. And it's also pretty hard, but that's where our vocal cords are. Okay, guys, that pretty much wraps up the pig dissection. Yeah, that's about it. I will bring it a little bit closer so you can see a few things. Okay, so today we got to look at the lungs and the trachea up here, and the larynx or the voice box right up here. And I already got to talk to you about the small intestine. So that is it for today. Bye, guys.